launched a GoFundMe, and I'm asking anyone can make a donation, please make a donation. I got them to admit a lot, but not enough. They admitted I never molested them. It was supposed to be in my head. So this is what I'm supposed to them is if I'm not around children, how could I think I molested children? The other point about that is that the accusations, and they knew it was out loud, were out loud. So now if they I'm in the Bronx, there are so many kids in the Bronx. Like I don't know what the amount of kids in this population in the Bronx is, but it's like there's a million little kids. So when they're saying, oh, you looked at a kid, they said, oh, you were looking up kids online. So what they're referring to now, before was they were referring to something with like celebrity children or something like that. Now they're referring to any time that I have like a certain about like child psychology or what relevant. Oh, that's looking up kids. So I go from never having any issues, any accusations, still none, about me being a pedophile or child molester or even liking kids. There's nobody I know who's like, oh, she just loves children. No one says that about me. To now being anytime anything has to do with any children, all of a sudden, oh my God, you're looking at a child. Trust me, if I hadn't lived in the Bronx and I could live somewhere where there are no children, I would prefer that. So then they said, oh, you once joked and said you'd date a 70-year-old man. Well, that might not have been a joke. Meaning I don't want children around me. I'm not a child person. Thank you for the one person who's in this live. So like I mentioned, they said, well, they can't lie and say that they contributed to Cup of Java Productions because they haven't. Not even the people who got involved even sent $1 even. I mean, they didn't even have to send $1. They could have just sent something, that would be of help. They didn't. They didn't help at all. And that's part of this. They said what they thought they were doing was if I can leave here, then they could set me up to be beaten up. So they said, well, one of the reasons they think people don't tend to beat me up is because I'm not short. I don't know, maybe because most people don't want to beat people up. This is how they think. It's not based on what I think. It's based on them, how they think, how they see everything. Everything with them is like gang related. I've never been in a gang. And I've said this in a previous video. They tried to say that when I was a kid and go into like the roller rinks that, we used to have like Star and then we had Skate Key. That there were gangs there, not including me. I was a kid. First of all, if you guys know anything about me, just what they keep saying about me, they would not include me in a gang. I wouldn't even pass through a gang. Okay. No one in a gang would want me. So that goes back to their delusion that it's supposed to be in my head. That wouldn't be in my head. Being in a gang wouldn't be in my head. But more than that is the idea that all of a sudden you're going to set me up to have a fight. So they say, well, you are disabled. Well, if people want to beat up on a disabled person, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. That's the whole point. These setups, they didn't take any of this into consideration. It just wouldn't matter to them. The other thing is they said I was not attractive enough. Like even now, I don't pass their standard of beauty. I'm just not good enough for them, which goes back to this whole lie that they said. So first of all, we got rid of finally the child molesting lie. We're still on the I look at children lie, which I don't. We're on the what was the other lie? Oh, I'm just not good enough lie. That will never end with them. We're still on the I was in some sort of gang lie. What was the other lie that they have that's major? Oh, they said that when I was a child, it wasn't done to me. Got them to admit it. They didn't want me. They said they wanted the older kids because it had to do with child molestation and pedophilia. Meaning all of this comes out, but it's still not coming out the way it should have come out. This program should have been exposed then. I was a kid. I was born in 1973. So you're talking about from 1973 until I became an adult in when I was 18. So we're talking about until December of 1991. They said, oh, I wouldn't be able to add up my own age. Why would I be adding my age? I don't understand. Like, what is it with you folks? Is there something really wrong with you? And they said, well, you're not seeming nice. Why would I seem nice to these people? That would be abnormal. And this is part of what I'm saying. There's something in them that feels they're so entitled to be treated nicely after treating so many people this way. If it had just been me, then they could have passed it off as, well, she's just this person. No, we're talking about so many people, including children. And so they said they don't want their children around me because their children will become very tough. I hope so. The older people when I was a kid were tough. They weren't going to put up with these people's bullshit at all. At all. They were some tough people. And when these types of people were around, they said, oh, you're part of the group that got rid of us. Yes. They weren't allowed to be around. Anybody who's talking this type of stuff about children, child molesters, false accusations, because they're not understanding. A false accusation against an innocent person in some ways is worse than hitting and setting people up to be beaten up, because they admitted that they said they didn't want me to be able to work with children, which I don't want to work with children anyway, but they didn't want me to be able to work with children. So the false accusation would have prevented me from being able to work with children. But let's put it back to 2022 when they wanted to bring in foster children in here. So clearly the false accusation wasn't enough because it was supposed to be in my head to stop them from trying to put in foster kids into my apartment to raise money, which I'm against. It wasn't enough for them to say they wanted to move people into this apartment, which they did out loud to me, not just like an imaginary thing or through the walls. So clearly the false accusation to them isn't good enough. But for me, it's more than good enough, because by putting that on an innocent person, you destroy that person. So they said, you're something in you now isn't the same. You have destroyed that in me. You've destroyed me with these lies, with the noise, with the bumping into me, with the trying to set me up in the street. You fuckers destroyed me. And in the beginning, I said, you won't break me. Guess what, you fuckers? You did break me. Add me to all the other fucking broken people in this world. You are destroying people with your lies and your electronic harassment and your microwaves and radio signals and your EMF. You are destructive people. You have never been anything positive in my life and never will be. Do not paint yourselves as anything more than what you are. Destroyers of souls. I've been here on March 3rd, next month, less than a month from now, 28 years. And when you fuckers moved in, you destroyed everything I built in my life. So you take that shit and ram it up your fucking asses. You're destructive people. You are the termites of the world who destroy everything people build for 52 fucking years. Thank you for watching.